I remember when ABBA was first introduced in Guilty Gear Isuka, just like coming in on the tail end of the game, and just how interesting she was, like that dual combat style between the slow, heavy moves and like the fast, sort of relentless style. Just to see her here in Guilty Gear Strive so many years later is wild. I want to ask, like, how was it like translating her from those olden days into this new game?
To start things off, ABBA, as you said, she has that duality of gameplay, and that was one of the ABBA's core characteristics. And so, it was a pretty easy decision to make sure that we maintain that sort of foundational element of ABBA as a character. Yeah, and as far as like the technical side of things, back then, ABBA was a pretty, difficult character to master, and that was fine. I think that added to sort of the uniqueness of the character. However, it required a lot of unique, very specialized knowledge on the the opponent's side on how to deal with their technique or strategy, such as if you get knocked down 3 times, you kind of get in a very sticky situation. And that was a very unique thing, a situation that the player really had to know about in order to deal with effectively. But this time around, we didn't want the opponent to feel like they had to know, strictly, those sort of elements to, be effective in countering Alba. And so that's an adjustment that we made. And as a basic concept for Guilty Gear Strive, we are aware that there are players that have been playing Guilty Gear for a long time, and one thing that we want to avoid is that these veteran gamers that have been playing and have sort of these prior knowledge about these characters, we didn't want them to have an upper edge or an upper hand in terms of the competitive atmosphere in the environment. We wanted these veteran players that have been playing these games for a long time, as well as new players that have entered the Guilty Gear scene with Guilty Gear Strive, to have a level playing field in terms of knowledge and expertise or technique regarding characters. So that's something that we have as a vision for Guilty Gear Strive across the board.
That brings up an interesting question about like where we are in season 3 so far. Like the roster is so fleshed out. We've seen a good mix of new and returning characters come to the game. Kind of this far into it, like what made ABBA like the choice for the development team, where like what put ABBA over the top as like this is what we want to do, this is who we want to go with this far into season 3?
We do have those sort of feelings of our own desires of wanting to release a character, but we also look at how much can a character contribute to the overall diversity of the reason, but in the game. So that's also a big contributing opportunities to
We honestly want to add all the Guilty Gear character to the tribe, and we can achieve that with player support. So we originally wanted ABBA to be in the Guilty Gear tribe, and that came true, and we really appreciate that came true because player support, because of the player support. So we really appreciate that.
We're coming up on season 3. This roster has grown so much since the first season. We've seen, like I said, we've seen a lot of cool returning characters, a lot of cool new characters. How far does Guilty Gear Strive go past season 3? Do you really see like a timeline where you could literally bring just every character possible to Guilty Gear Strive, or is there a certain point where you say, we've done enough, it's time to move on to the next thing?
So we can't tell you any details, but what we can tell you is we're still running.
Yeah, as long as the player supports us. So we see a lot of players supporting Guilty Strive, and we appreciate that, and that's why we want to keep updating the game. As Katano said, Akira said, we can't really tell about the future because even if we had planned, there's a time for the announcement, so we can't say so much. But obviously, we've announced the new game future called Team of 3, and that's being planned in the future update. That means that we are not it's not still not the phase of thinking maybe it's time to end the future.
So I think the most important thing that we want to focus on is, not just creating what we want to do, but also, focusing on growing the community. And I think there's a lot more work to be done there. And so, there's a lot for us to learn in that regard and how to, make that happen. And so, we want to continue to, put forth an effort to growing the community.
Like with this era of the game, it feels like it's grown so much past the game itself. The music was always a huge part of Guilty Gear. Like we all love the music. It's incredible. The pop-up shops, the fashion, the art, the events like the Arc World Tour, and even like smaller community events. Guilty Gear has kind of taken on something more than just a fighting game. And like, how satisfying has it been to see this IP that started out as just like a humble fighter back in the day just grow to this immense worldwide thing that just so many people love?
Yeah, so I think Guilty Gear Strive is, I guess, is a title in which Guilty Gear has sort of started to expand outside of that sort of, gaming, just from that gaming small gaming world to and it really started to expand from there. And it's one of the titles that sort of achieved these milestones that none of our other titles have achieved before. And I think it's really thanks to our global marketing team that has marketed the game to the global market instead of just in Japan. And also the development team and making a game that would be accepted all throughout the world. And so I think it's all of those efforts that has sort of paid off and is what we see now as Guilty Gear Strive has become. And seeing that, I just I'm very I can only say I'm just very happy for those efforts to have paid off in this way.
Guilty Gear Strive kind of ushered in what I would consider to be a golden age of fighting games right now. The rollback netcode, the sheer quality of the visuals, and the feel of the gameplay, it was just kind of a step above most of what we were seeing at the time it came out, and it's only continued to grow and get even cooler since. But we've had quite a few other cool fighting games launched since. Street Fighter 6 has come out, Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising, Under Night In-Birth 2, Tekken 8. There's so many good ones. And I wonder, like, does the team look at, what all these fighting games that have come out since Guilty Gear Strive launched and say, is there anything in those games that you think, wow, that's cool, we should figure out some way to do something with that? Or are you just kind of flowing to your own beat and kind of going along with Guilty Gear as Guilty Gear inside of itself?
Yeah, so as far as the development side is concerned, there are some things that Guilty Gear Strive has that that is very unique and that we want to maintain as a core pillar of Guilty Gear Strive. That identity is something that we want to maintain. However, we do look at other games and see, that's a cool feature that we might want to incorporate somehow into Strive, or these quality of life improvements that we see in other games that we think are nice, and we can see it be incorporated into Guilty Gear Strive. And so we're always sort of studying other games and sort of referring to other games, and whether a feature in the game sort of we bring it into Guilty Gear Strive, or if it takes on a different form, that's just always something that we are discussing. But yeah, I don't think there's no conflict in trying to do both at the same time, like trying to maintain that core identity of Guilty Gear while referencing other games and sort of taking inspiration from them and trying to moving Guilty Gear forward in that way.
Going off of that, like, Season 3 saw a kind of massive shakeup in gameplay with Guilty Gear Strive. You introduced the new mechanics with Wild Assault and Deflect Shield, and sort of changed up like the way that we could pursue offense and defense in the game. So, like, looking at things like Deflect Shield and Wild Assault in Season 3 and how much it, like, kind of shifted what we can do in the game, is that something like the team is just... Do you have to and looking at the response to it, do you remain cautious about like introducing things that may change the game in that way, like drastically, or is the team kind of just going all in on if there's something we want to do, if there's something we feel that will improve it, we can't be afraid of taking risks like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think in general we sort of try to do it because we want to, and we kind of try to push it forward because we feel very strong about it. And of course, once we release these changes, these big shifts in gameplay, we do get player responses and feedback, and taking those feedback, we obviously don't feel that the game is in a perfect state. So there's a lot more to be done. And we do have plans to, make the game even more exciting going forward. And we can't get into the details of that today, but please stay tuned for further information from us.